Okay. You get all the balls out like that? Should be ready to go. This is a dog, and this is actually what drives the transmission. The shaft, you can just pull it right out. Got a little bit of, see that? It just comes right up and out of there. And the actual final drive on the transmission is this dog right here. This is where all the power is transferred to the shaft, the final output shaft, through those ball bearings. And they are hard. The carrier, very hard. You're not going to damage the carrier, most likely. I'm not going to swear to it, but you're not going to damage the carrier, and you're not going to damage that final drive shaft. What you will tear up is going to be the yoke. It's aluminum, and the yoke is not cheap, but I guarantee it's going to be cheaper than putting a new shaft or a new dog or a new carrier in it, because the steel on it is so hard. What I'm doing here is just peeling off the silicone. It's got a little, like a little groove, so you can put a square O-ring or something in there. But we're just going to put some gray silicone on it. That's what Dad likes. He likes the gray stuff. It's dries kind of like bubble gum. You can immediately use it. As soon as you put it together, you can put fluids in it, and it won't really contaminate the gray or dilute it, and it won't dissolve. So we'll see if we've got any. If I don't, then well, we'll just use black. Amazing what you can find. We'll just use a little bit. There's also another seal on the tail housing here that I'm not going to touch. Unless you're tearing this whole thing down, leave it alone. Just don't even mess with it, because taking the tail housing off is a whole other ball game. I'm sure it's not too difficult, but you want to get these things up and going without any real issues, without having to go all the way through them. If the clutches are good, just put some parts in the tail end of this thing, put a drive shaft on it, put it on the track. This kit also, I'm not going to say it comes with new bolts. It only runs about, I want to say $75 if you buy everything, so it's not really too awful bad. But unlike a Falcon, you're going to have to stretch your drive shaft out a little bit. If you're going from a Falcon or a Saginaw, something with a longer tail shaft on it, then you're going to have to stretch it out and make it reach. If you have a quick change rear end, I want to say you're only going to run maybe a 31-inch drive shaft, something close to that, and 29 to 31, because nose of your quick change sticks out a little closer than when you're running a 9-inch rear end sits quite a bit further back on the car at the yoke. Okay, so we're just going to drop this little guy in here because before we connect it, it's not going to do anything. See, the transmission's not going to turn because we're not making contact with the dog. So we'll drop it in there. Clean this off a little bit. Get a little bit of silicone on it. We probably don't. You probably don't need silicone on this half of it because you're isolated once you seal that bottom end up. But we'll put it on there anyway. And on the corners, right here where the two meet, put just a little bead. Just a little bit extra, not too much. That'll help seal it up, kind of like when you put a rear main in. You always put a little bead at the corner of your blocks, or when you put the oil pan on, you got to put just a little bit where it meets the curve. Drop that thing in there. You can tap on this thing all day long. You're not going to hurt this carrier. It is harder than you think. There's always one. Now we're locked in, see? Put your seal, your back plate on. It's kind of a tight squeeze. You get it on there. Okay, so carrier bolts, a little bit of silicone on them. Keep the oil from wanting to leak out. Because we'll never want to take this apart again until maybe once a season just to inspect. But as hard as those things are, it would seem to me that if you keep them lubricated, you're not going to have any troubles with them. They shouldn't wear unless you're being really rough with it. But I would say that if you keep them lubricated, you probably last a long time. Run them across so it goes down square. And there it is. You've just upgraded your Generation 1 vert bar spline to a Generation 1.5, let's say. There's going to be some drag on this thing because of the seals. I guess it doesn't hurt to lubricate the splines a little bit before you go crazy with putting it back together. But it'll come back up. We'll put that bolt on it and get it up out of there.